I think I didn't expect how good of a fit it would be. Maybe I just didn't really think about it. I mean, I knew I loved finance, and I knew that's why I wanted to pivot and get
Welcome to the Live Greater View, a financial planning podcast produced by VLP Financial Advisors that discusses life, money, and perspective. We help clients live their best life at every stage through our VLP Live Greater partnership process. Thank you for tuning in.
Well, welcome back. So today we have an exciting topic in honor of Women's History Month. We thought we'd bring in some of the women of VLP and talk a little bit about how we got started, how we've gotten in our career, some of the paths we've took to get here, which have been a little different for each of us, and just kind of what we see going on. So we'll talk a little bit, again, how we got in the business, why we enjoy this work, which I think we all can say has been a pretty fun ride.
Yep. Yeah.
Along the way. And then talk a little bit about why more women need to enter this field. Because I think there's been, we'll talk a little bit about statistics, but there's been kind of a stagnation on women entering the field.
Exactly. I think, we're seeing more women graduating from college than men, but the growth of women entering financial advising has been stagnant for a while now.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, according to the CFP board, with regards to women entering this profession, there's just still a bias to hiring men advisors. And there just aren't the educational resources as well as the networking opportunities.
Yeah, something we look to change here. Certainly at VLP, we're 50% women, so that's pretty exciting. And really, let's talk a little about the statistics. Right now, roughly only 30% of all advisors are women. When you think about that and where we've come, that's pretty daunting. Mm-hmm. And it's not, and as you mentioned, it's stagnant. It hasn't changed much.
Exactly, and even fewer CFPs.
Right. Yeah, that's a great statistic. Because about only 23% of CFPs are women.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's kind of crazy. So I also want to reference before we kind of jump in, is there was a survey taken by Investment News, and specifically on this topic, and the data as of 2023 is 39% of support advisors are women, and they tend to be more in that role, which we see often. And only 30% we talked about are advisors, but more interestingly, only 18% of partners in financial planning and investment firms are women. So kind of as you go up the path, it gets less and less. We're less represented there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
that's interesting. I just think in terms of mentoring, it's harder to find a mentor, somebody that's going to give you guidance and really support you.
This is true. Yeah.
And
so it's
inspire
something.
You. Yeah.
Yeah. So something we can look to change.
Exactly.
That'll be great. All right. So let's hop in. So let's talk about sharing your story. So Sarah, let's start with you. How did you learn about financial advising as a career?
So I think I always knew it was a career, but knowing it was a career for me took a little time because I spent the first 10 years of my career in math education. I was a math teacher for a while, then I worked for the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. And it was from there that I realized that I wanted to pivot into financial advising. I wasn't quite sure how to do it at the time, but I just kind of hopped in. But I love finance, I love education, I love helping people. So for me, it all kind of came together.
And it's certainly the helping people and the math go together well. And interestingly enough, if you read the CFP board initiative, a majority of the women were involved with mathematics.
Yep.
So it's kind of an interesting correlation.
Yep.
Yeah. How about you, Liz? How did you?
Well, my introduction was pretty early on. My mom was a business teacher. And so she taught introduction to the stock market, various other classes as well. But so in her business management class, we spent a semester following different companies, and we had monopoly money that we could invest. And what was really interesting, this is back when we actually read newspapers, but yeah, she would shared how you read about the stock in the paper, and so we every morning started off with reading the Wall Street paper, and then that really was the interest, was just that the education. But then at the same time, my stepdad, he started with Merrill Lynch in the mailroom when he was a young man, and he was inspired by a mentor that he met there, and that is how he paid his way through college at Virginia Commonwealth. And then from there, he, in the 70s, became a stockbroker.
Oh, wow.
And but really made it his mission with his 5 kids to show them, the value of money and how you can make your money work for you.
Interesting. So wait, let me back up. Did you take your mom's class?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
My mom was, I think, taught all 5 of us kids at one point, between typing classes, shorthand. Okay, I'm really dating myself. Various marketing classes, accounting. Yes, but the one that was the most fun was honestly the stock market class.
Did you get A's and all, or how tough is a grade?
Okay, participation, right, is the hardest. It was probably the one class where, you had to speak up, and there was no foundation for it. So, so it was a little bit more challenging. But then we all were forced to be members of the Future Business Leaders of America.
Well, wonderful. Yeah. That's a great story.
It is.
Yeah.
What about you, Rose?
Well, so mine was by accident. I guess it's interesting, or the path I got to. I had graduated from Penn State, was managing a restaurant, and we had a daughter, but my husband had not graduated at the time. And we were both working in the restaurant business, and it didn't work out so well with having a child. So I decided to go up to the career fair, and I applied for every job local. This was my litmus test. This is how I had a degree. Actually, my degree was in accounting with a business minor, so interesting. And interviewed several places, but one of the places I interviewed with was a registered investment advisor in State College. And they actually hired me as a project manager for the president and vice president. Nothing to do with investments or the portfolio, but my job was to go in, review all the different departments, help them streamline processes, and do those various things. And the last department I went into was the investment services group. And I was talking to the head of the group, a CFA and CFP, and I was asking a bunch of questions, and he was like, "You should just take the test. You ask better questions than my portfolio managers." And I was like, "Well, what's a portfolio manager?" So interestingly enough, I took my 7 with them, went to the investment services group at that point, and started there. But what happened is then Greg graduated, and we got a job, and we moved to Northern Virginia. So I thought I was going to use my accounting degree. That lasted for about 8 weeks. And then I answered an ad in the paper, and thank God Bruce hired me, and here I am. So, by fault.
Yeah. Sometimes accidents are the best way.
Yeah, so it worked out really well. All right, so next question. So how long have you been an advisor? And you alluded a little bit about changing careers. So Sarah, let's start with you again.
Yeah. So for me, I was working for the National Council of Teachers Mathematics at the time, and we had a 403B, and we had a retirement consultant from Lincoln Financial that would come in and educate us on our 403B, on our retirement plan, and she would sit down with us each individually and talk to us. And she every once in a while, like once a quarter or so, she would give a speech, and I remembered her telling all of us that she used to be a teacher at one point. And I loved what she did. I loved how she would present on these really interesting topics, and I love how she would sit down and educate each of us. And so one day when I was sitting down with her talking about my 403B, I kind of asked her, I remember you said you used to be a teacher. How did you get into this? How did you get into financial advising? And she kind of knew what I was getting at, and she's like, "Do you want me to pass on your resume to my boss?" And I said, "Yeah." So one thing led to another, and I was hired by Lincoln to be a retirement consultant, which I loved, but it was more of a limited scope. We were just dealing with 401ks and 403Bs. So I wanted to do something a little more broad. And so that's when I decided I wanted to be, a full financial planner and be able to help people in all different ways, not just with their workplace retirement plan. So I was with Lincoln for 3 years, and then came across an opening here at VLP, and one thing led to another, and here I am 9 years later.
That's right, 9 years.
Yeah,
We'll be coming up on 10.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's, and I haven't regretted a single year of that or a single minute.
I remember I was pretty excited when I found the resume of another Penn State grad.
Yep.
And at the time, Sarah was blonde. So.
Yes, I was. It's a long time ago.
All right, Liz, how about you?
So I started right out of school as a wholesaler for a mutual fund company, and I enjoyed it. However, quickly got engaged and realized that traveling 5 states, leaving every Monday, coming back every Friday. So this was
Great for a marriage, yeah.
Oh, right, exactly. I mean, we might as well just have video conferencing for marriage, but yeah. So I loved it. It was a great introduction to financial services. What I really liked about it, though, was talking to the end clients, was doing the seminars, and especially because I was one of only 2 female wholesalers across the country. So I had an opportunity to really have a niche when it came to talking to female clients.
Yeah.
And so just women in investing, and why do women need to get involved, and what are the demographics? So that was really what I specialized in, and whenever a client needed somebody to speak to their women's golf group, I came in. But I found that that's what I really liked, was talking to the clients, hearing their stories, understanding what their goals were. And at that point, that's when I really knew that I wanted to work more with clients and understanding their needs, and not just selling mutual funds. But then I went to work for a firm in Arlington called Sands Capital Management, and they had a division that was just with high net worth. Again, great education and great people, but in terms of just talking about real life needs and goals and building for retirement, I felt that working at a place like VLP was going to be the right fit for me. And I was thrilled when a friend of mine actually told me about VLP. I, at the time, wasn't looking necessarily for a job, but fell in love with the people here, saw how everyone at VLP treated each other, and realized that that's really how we treat our clients. And it's all about relationships.
Yep.
So this is where I realized my true talents lie. And at the end of the day, it is about connecting with the clients and helping them reach their goals.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So a little bit, my path was a little different. I've been here, it'll be 24 years. 24 years this month in March. And I pretty much have done every job at VLP. I started doing assistant portfolio management, helped build some of the departments, and then eventually, actually was even branch manager at one point, and did 401k meetings, similar to what Sarah was doing for Lincoln. And then around 2006, I started working with individual clients, and that was been since then. And I got my CFP the same year. So it's been a long time, and I think it's just been exciting because I would say one of the best things about VLP is that the mentorship. Like Bruce, our founder, has been a phenomenal mentor. He's always encouraged us, even when there was times when he knew that was going to be a challenge for his team, because some of us worked on his team and had to move off. But I do think that that's something that's been great about VLP, is the mentorship opportunity, the growth path, and something I think that we're proud to build and continue to build is giving women, everybody an opportunity, and women specifically in this business. Because when I first joined here with Bruce, I remember going to my first FPA meeting, and I walked in, and Alex Armstrong, who was the first woman in DC to get her CFP, which is pretty cool, was there. There was maybe 3 or 4 other women, but it was a room full of men. And Bruce took me. Like, how many other people or men were going to do that with the women in their office? I wasn't an advisor at the time. I was just his portfolio manager. So it was pretty exciting to go in and see what others were doing and learn what financial planning meant, how you can make an impact on clients. So I thought it's been very exciting. And now, just being in the FPA, I was even a past president of the Financial Planning Association, our chapter, is seeing more women come that's been great. Yeah, so exciting. All right, so Sarah, what do you like most about being an advisor?
So it's definitely about the relationships.
Yeah.
So you build a lot of relationships with your clients, you know them throughout the years, and you help them. Every time you meet with them, the things that you do for them in the background.
You cry with them, you laugh with them.
You do.
Yeah.
Yep, you really do. You get to know them, they become like family, and that's the best part of the job.
And you have a niche that's very, very different. Why don't you talk a little about that?
Yeah.
Speaking of laughing and crying.
Yeah. So I realized that I had the most impact on clients when they were in some type of transition in their life. So whether it was moving into retirement or another type of transition. And I kind of fell into building a niche around people that were going through a divorce. That's a huge transition.
Yep.
A lot of times they're feeling incredibly vulnerable, and that's the time when they need the most help and the most comfort. Just looking at their financial situation because it's all changing.
Yep.
And so I got my CDFA, which is Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. And that way, it kind of empowered me with the knowledge to help. A lot of times it's women,
Yep.
but it can be men too. But most of my divorcing clients are women, and help them kind of navigate around their new reality and help them through the divorce stages, and trying to figure out which assets or that is best to kind of fight for, if you will. And how income is going to work after they're fully divorced and living on their own, and just helping them get through it, and then helping them after the divorce is over, just kind of realize their new normal,
Yep.
Settle into their new reality, and set up a longer term plan for success. So I find that work to be really rewarding because you're helping people at a time when they really, really need the help.
When they're very vulnerable. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but of course I still work with all of my other clients too that I love, and but it really is about the relationships. Without that, it wouldn't be as rewarding, I don't think.
Right.
So that's my absolute favorite part of the job, hands down.
Yeah. And I think that as women, that's something that we're pretty, that we might have a little bit of a leg up on because of the relationships and those types of things. So,
Absolutely.
all right, Liz, you.
Yeah, I would say also, Rose, just the empathy, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we take a moment to pause to hear our clients, understand what their concerns are, and that is so important because building that trust. And that relationship, understanding what their stress points are. So that's important to me. I think just to kind of take a step back, I thought early on in my life I wanted to be a doctor. I thought
That's funny. So did I.
Yeah, I thought, okay, I really want to
fix
focus
stuff.
on yes. And but one thing that for me, I realized is that financial stress can impact everything, and your physical well-being, your relationships, and it's really part of the wellness package. And I just like feeling like I'm helping reduce the stress with clients, that I'm giving them a plan forward, and also really listening to what are their stress points. And for a lot of women, it's their kids,
Yep.
it's their parents, and giving them tools to not just navigate through their life's ups and downs, but also how do they help their children? How do they help their elderly parents also? And I feel like we get a lot more information from...
We ask a lot more questions. We're nosy.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
And we let them speak. We don't talk at them. We
Yeah.
ask questions.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So
Well, that's funny. A couple things, I guess. I do, relationships is definitely top of mind, and empathy. And part of the reason I didn't become a doctor is when I was at college and doing my work study at a cancer hospital, I would leave crying every day. Turns out I have really high empathy, and I was like, this is going to be awful. Like, I'm just going to cry all the time. And then the other thing, I was paying for college. I realized how long and how much debt I was going to be in, and I was like, this got to change. So I guess maybe that was setting the stage. I need to go in a different direction. But I love meeting all the different, our clients, their kids, the opportunity to strategize with them when they come with a topic or a subject where they're stressed, and I'm like, wait, this is the strategy. This is how. Let's talk about some of the things we can do. That plus, I'm the office hugger. I love to hug, which was tough during COVID. You were allowed to hug, so. But I just think I think we're blessed, and I've been really excited we've been able to build a culture here where it's not only just helping our clients, it's helping our team and those around us. And I think that's been the beautiful part of this business and what we can do. So I want to pivot just a little bit on this one. What were some of the challenges? I think this is a big one that comes up, especially with women entering our business, because there's the mindset or the thought that, the balancing act between family and kids and work, and we tend to, as women, take on the majority of that responsibility, or even with your parents, and when you're that sandwich generation. I think there's some opportunity to kind of highlight that you can make this work. So talk a little bit about some of the challenges. Sarah, you have two younger children, and Liz and I, we're Liz has got like a barbell thing going on, and then I've got a ladder. So we all have a different scenario.
Yep, we sure do.
So go ahead. Why don't you go ahead, Sarah?
So I feel like financial advising actually lends itself to that work home life balance, because we're not working late hours. We're working mainly Monday through Friday. 8:30 to 5:30, so it's very doable hours. I'm not generally taking work home. So for me, it kind of works. Having two young ones at home, I'm able to kind of make it work because there's a lot of flexibility. And you can work from home. It's that type of job, so you can have that flexibility. So I feel like in a way it lends itself to to women.
I think it's changed a lot. So when we get to me, I'll talk about a different scenario. But go ahead.
Yes. Well, and I think there's the reality of how it is, but then there's the perception.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe sometimes that's misaligned. And I think it's that perception that might keep women from entering this field if they think that it's one way, but really
that's very well put. Yeah, absolutely. All right. How about you, Liz?
Well, I feel very fortunate that I'm here because I'm working with women that understand that we are juggling a lot of different hats. And there are times when maybe because we have temperatures that are in the teens, and we have our kids, their schools keep being delayed.
Yep.
But what's great is that, maybe I stay an hour later, or, I work through lunch, but there's a way to make it work. And it's wonderful that there are people that support me and that relate to the juggling act that I have going on at home. I look at this also as, a job that I enjoy sharing with my kids. I feel that my boys in particular, because of my profession, definitely have a leg up when it comes to just their own financial preparedness. And they understand, mom needs a little help, and but they're also very proud of the fact that I'm doing something that's educational, that's that I'm involved in the community, and that's one thing about this relationship. That relationship aspect is that by being involved in different. Maybe it's a charity, or maybe it's your church, or that also is a great outlet for sharing why VLP might be the right fit for a lot of our friends and family, and yeah.
So being here as long as I have, and changing, when I started, it was me, Bruce, Dan. We had an administrative assistant, and that was about it. So, if I was gone for too long of a time, someone else had to do my job. And at the time, no one was really doing the trading when I first had Taylor, my middle daughter. And so Taylor came to work. After about 3 weeks, we set up a pack and play in an office next to Dan, and she came to work. And you would think that osmosis now that she would be interested in financial planning. She's not. But it was also, now that we're bigger, it's great because we have a lot more flexibility. But with that being said, it was never that, again, I had to find a way to, I wasn't working 60, 80 hours. I didn't, I always could be home to get my kids, make dinner, get them to bed, those types of things. But it is challenging on the struggle. Let's talk a little bit about, getting your CFP. I'll kind of start there because I had just had Taylor. I had 2 daughters at home, 5 and a newborn. And I was starting my CFP. And at the time, it was 5 courses you had to take to pass. And then you sat for a 2-day exam. It's a little bit different now. Now I'm dating myself. We were a small firm. I couldn't, and we still can't really, you can't study at work. And so I would work all day, come home, do the kids. It was exhausting, make dinner, get everybody bathed, get them to bed. And then I go down and I'd study, every night. I'd take an online class for a couple of days and then study. But we got through it. And I think things have changed. The CFP testing's changed. Now it's a 1 day, pretty much where you're going to pass that day. I had to wait 3 months. It was kind of crazy. But, I do think that is kind of the other, the juggling act. Like you can make it work. And now that we have the flexibility with remote work, working from home, online, you have a lot more options and ability.
I think because women do often take on the brunt of the housework and the childcare, that for any women that do have children and they're beginning their CFP, it is a challenge, and it's a barrier to entry.
Yep.
It's definitely easier if you don't have children at home and you can spend the evening studying.
And a big thing now is there's programs at college where you can sit for the CFP right after. I mean, we didn't have that.
Yeah.
So that's a nice change, right? You can
I
do
would
it.
have loved that.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
If your
Yes.
mom only would have taught that.
Exactly. I know. I mean, I don't even have business classes in high school anymore, but yes, I wish they did. For me, I think I took the Series 7 in 1998. It's been a while since I sat for all the licensing exams. But I have put off the CFP, and I'm hoping, this year, this
is your year.
This is my year.
Yeah.
But yes, it's great. There are a lot of different programs. There are accelerated programs. I've been doing financial planning for a number of years now, but it's just getting it done. And I thought that the first year I was here, I was going to get it done. And then the majority of my time, I have 2 boys in college now, but was college visits and college recruiting for sports. And it is a juggling act, and a lot of times my needs and my desires, are on the back burner. And also I wanted to make sure that I had a good footing with just VLP and my clients. And so it's taken me a little bit longer to actually accomplish getting the certification. I'm going to be so happy when it's over.
Well, you also have a little one at home,
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
So, you had the 2 teenagers and the little one at home. So.
I do, and yes, and so I finally found a babysitter. She comes tonight. So so having some
The little things you get to celebrate.
Yeah, it's just 3 hours without mom.
Yeah.
Constantly.
All right. So let's talk. What is something you did not expect about becoming a financial planner?
Ooh, I think I didn't expect how good of a fit it would be. Maybe I just didn't really think about it. I mean, I knew I loved finance, and I knew that's why I wanted to pivot and get into finance, but really just every aspect of it, especially the planning part. That's what I love the most, because that's really it's the planning that really helps your clients, helping them see that sort of longer term vision and then watching them live through it and achieve all of their goals. It lends itself, this profession lends itself to women in so many ways.
Yep.
And we touched on some of that before, but really I didn't expect how much I would love it as a career and how good of a fit it would be.
Yeah. And how good you are at it.
Thank you.
You've been great. Yeah, you're great. How about you, Liz?
I would piggyback off of that. For me, I was surprised because I think in the beginning, and maybe this is why there's some hesitation getting into this field, but I thought, okay, I'm going to have to really understand all the numbers, all the research, and it's really about people. It's really about their goals, and we are long-term in our approach, and we lead with financial planning.
Right.
I have been at other firms, and that's not the case, but if you lead with the client's goals, then finding the right investment fit will fall into place.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's, very well said. And we tell clients, initial clients when they come in all the time, like, you got to find someone you trust and you like, and it's the right fit. And sometimes we're not, right? And that's just okay, because they might be at a different stage where they don't want all those they don't want financial planning yet, or whatever it may be. I think the thing that surprised me the most is all the opportunity, and there's so much room for growth. As you alluded to, there's a lot to learn, and I tell anybody when they come here, I'm just like, the learning curve is going to be learning just acronyms, or our technology, the software, but once those things can be taught. It's the ability to have those conversations, the compassion, and something like, I obviously watch this podcast. I love to talk, so I think that fits well too. But it seems for me it seemed to be a natural fit, being able to learn alongside Bruce and Dan and the company, and really find my place, which I thought was kind of interesting. I got into this business by accident, and financial advisor or planner was not on the radar. But that is something that I just, I love. So it's been great. But yeah. So let's talk about, before we wrap up, what advice would you give a woman looking to get in our business, and maybe, some of the misconceptions they should be aware of, but really, aren't true probably.
Yeah. The biggest advice I would say is, you don't have to know everything before you get into the field. You will learn as you go, like any job. But I think sometimes maybe women are intimidated by the investment piece. They're not sure about that, or they don't know what they don't know, and that is scary to them. Maybe it's all.
We're usually more risk adverse than men, which is why more men are lead advisors.
For sure. Yeah, and you can easily find a financial planning job that is salaried and it's not commission based.
Yep. That's a good point, because a lot of people think of the old Wolf of Wall Street days, right?
Yeah. And I think that for a lot of women, that's a scary thing to think about, and they think, no, thank you, But really, it's just, don't try and think of all the things you have to do, all the tests you have to pass, or all of the knowledge that you need to have. Just take it one day at a time. But truly, it is a career for women, really. Women do so well in this career because it just lends itself to all of the personality traits that you already have. So just go for it, and don't worry about the things all at once. You'll get there, and you'll just take it day by day.
Perfect. Yeah, great advice. All right, Liz, you.
So I would say it's important to find women that are in this field and talk to them, find out about their experiences, get real life experience. It's important to have an internship, apply what you've learned in the classroom, and don't be intimidated. Realize that, if you enjoy the relationship, if you truly want to help people, that you can learn everything else.
Yeah. I agree. My biggest one is get a mentor. Find a mentor. There's lots of them out there. I was blessed to have Bruce and Joe, who was one of our sales, and a woman advisor, who was also at that FPA meeting. And I remember Bruce introducing to me, and Joe was a 6 foot tall blonde woman wearing 3-inch heels at this meeting. And I'll never forget her advice to me. And I was like, what do you advise me? And she goes, wear heels, because you can't tell I'm 5'10". She goes, it's great when you come to this meeting and men have to look up at you. And, but, I had Bruce, I had Joe, I had opportunities where I had people I could ask questions who, when maybe something didn't go my way that day, or I wasn't quite sure how to get started or what to do, they were there sounding boards. And I think that that's huge, because this business can be daunting. I think any job you get into, career, can be daunting. And if you don't have someone where you can confidently go, hey, I think I messed this up, or what would you do in this situation, or what advice do you have? Like, I want to do these things. And I think having a mentor is great. And sometimes have a couple, and if you don't have the right one, find another. But and it doesn't always have to be a woman. Like I said, I had Bruce, I had Joe, it was great. But I do think that this business is a great opportunity for women to find a place. And statistically we didn't talk about is more and more women are now becoming the head of the household and leading financial decisions. That wasn't the case, 30, 25, even 20 years ago. Yeah. So, there's an opportunity, and a lot of women want to talk to other women. So that's a good thing. But yeah.
No,
right.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys have any last minute closing advice?
Well, I just wanted to say, working at VLP, what's also great is that we collaborate, and as women, we do like to talk, and we like to share.
Yep.
So we're not working in silos. We talk about our clients' needs, and I think having the women, having Rose, yes, we have other women on staff, but having you lead the way and really make it so that we are a team, it helps.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
I was going to say I would piggyback off of that. And Rose, you're a powerhouse. You know how to bring the team together. You're an inspiration.
Jeez, thanks.
Yeah. But truly, I mean, you need to have a strong leader, a strong woman leader. I think that sets the tone for everybody, in the company, and certainly for the other women in the company.
And I think it's exciting. I think for, giving advice, there's lots of different structures in the business that we have. But I do think for, anyone, coming into the business specifically, if you can find a team where you have that opportunity and you have that partnership and you have someone who's going to help get you from A to B, I think it's huge. I mean, there's lots of different structures, but if you really want to end up a financial planner, and there's a lot of firms that pay a salary. We pay a salary. Everybody gets paid here, a salary. No one's eating what they kill, and I think and that's a model across a lot of firms. So, I think find the right firms, do a lot of conversations, because there's a lot of great opportunity out there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies. This was fabulous.
Yeah, this was great.
It was good. All right. Well, make sure to like this video. And if you like what you've heard, make sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel. But feel free to pass along to family and friends. And check us out at VLPFA.com. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Live Great Review. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Spotify and recommend our podcast to family and friends. To learn more about VLP Financial Advisors, please check out our website at VLPFA.com. Thanks again.
And now for our necessary disclosures. Securities and advisor services offered through Cetera Advisor Networks, LLC, member FINRA SIPC, a broker-dealer and registered investment advisor. All investing involves risk, including the possible loss of principal. There is no assurance that any investment strategy will be successful. The views stated in this podcast are not necessarily the opinion of Cetera Advisor Networks, LLC, and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned. Due to the volatility with the markets mentioned, opinions are subject to change without notice. Information is based on sources believed to be reliable. However, their accuracy or completeness cannot be guaranteed. Past performance does not guarantee future results.